Welcome to The Real Story with Jeanne Ives. Well, Tuesday night in the state of Illinois was a huge night. And you know what? I'm pretty happy with the results. I don't think that it's a mystery here, but I was supporting Darren Bailey, and he did a phenomenal job in putting together the right campaign and winning. Of course, he had a lot of help from his opponents who basically imploded because he just started lying about everything. And when the lies are exposed, the liar gets outed and is ousted by the electorate. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm pretty thrilled with that. And of course, at the same time that we had this very contentious Republican primary with 6 different contenders, the Democrats on the other side had just J.B. Pritzker and then another woman, Miss Miles, who I hope to have on my program here shortly. But before I do have her on, and hopefully I can get her on next week in the next podcast, because it's interesting what she went through in the wake of all this. The Democrats were not kind to her. Let's put it that way. And of course, now the media is all in about writing about this race and what occurred. But as a small note to Karl Rove, to Laura Ingraham, to Tucker Carlson, who I believe Tucker was Irvin on Tucker's podcast. I don't know about or who was he on his show? Ingram had Irvin on. I mean, all these people who don't understand what's going on and who these candidates are, Wall Street Journal, need to not have candidates on that they would not agree with if they knew their record. So, but, unbelievably, none of that mattered in the end. None of it mattered. It mattered what the people thought. But now you've got other stories being written, and this one I picked up today. It's just unbelievable. It's from Esquire. Now, I thought Esquire was a men's magazine. For some reason, I thought it was kind of edgy, but apparently they like to do these sophistry. They like the sophistry of a J.B. Pritzker. They want to report on it, so they did this story. It's from Charles Pierce. It's dated June 29, 2022. J.B. Pritzker's grasp of politics 101 shouldn't feel like a breath of fresh air, but here we are. Oh, so J.B. Pritzker. He knows all about politics and what to do. Oh, man, he's got a thing coming to him because right now he's not looking that great. And on generic ballot, he's only up +7 in polling that was done by Fabrizio. A friend of mine did that polling. And if you look, if people who know J.B. Pritzker and people who know his Republican challenger, Darren Bailey, Bailey's actually up 3 points right now as the election were today. Up 3 points. J.B., you tried to pick your winner, it didn't work out. You tried to pick your opponent, and you picked Darren Bailey, as did the Republican Party, majority of Republicans, and it's going to be quite the contest. So anyway, reading on, they say, Mr. Pierce writes, so who's the latest Democratic winner who is A, under 70, B, not in Washington, and C, knows how to talk the talk as well as walk the walk? Come on down, Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, running this year for re-election. Tuesday night was primary night, and Pritzker, whose renomination was in the bag, had something to say anyway. So here's one of his things that J.B. Pritzker, and this is quoted in the article, 4 years ago, I said we would legalize marijuana. Wild applause. Today, cannabis is safe and legal in Illinois. Wild applause again. And we've used the tax revenues raised by it to reinvest in the communities that were hit the hardest in the failed war on drugs. Wild applause again. I mean, oh, good grief. His opening is about legal marijuana. Who's surprised by this? His running mate, Juliana Stratton, was first in line when the marijuana shops opened in 2020. So whatever. Okay, then he goes on to say, this is Pritzker saying stuff. Last Friday, when the Supreme Court overturned Roe, I could hear my mother's voice once again. And do you know what she said? Hell no. I know that we're facing a struggle in the heart of our nation right now. We Democrats play by the rules. We Democrats play by the rules? He goes on, we respect democracy. We honor our elections. We compromise and we work across the aisle on issues that voters care about. Okay, none of that is true. It's laughable. One of his promises when he was first elected in 2018, one of his promises on the campaign trail is we're going to have independent maps made. Independent maps. Well, a huge promise Actually, that would be respecting democracy. That would be playing by the rules. That would be honoring our elections. Everything he just said is false off of that one thing that he did, because he didn't put in independent maps. He put in politicized maps that were based on really bad data, so bad that the court came back to him and said, these aren't going to work. You need to rewrite them. So they reconfigured some of them, and they're still gerrymandered to the hilt. Let me give you an example. I live in Wheaton, and the district that I live in is now the new 3rd district, written specifically for a Hispanic Democrat, because it is plus 44 Hispanic, and it's a plus 44 Democrat advantage. And the district stretches all the way from, well, it pulls in parts of Hispanic Elgin. It goes into the horse country of Wayne. It goes down into Hispanic West Chicago. It wraps into Wheaton, and it goes through a narrow passageway through a railroad yard, all the way over to Humboldt Park in the city of Chicago. Talk about a gerrymander. 17 congressional districts, 7 of them, 7 of the 17. In a state that from tip to toe would take you a good 8 to 9 hours to drive. From the Wisconsin border down to the border with Missouri, it's about 8 to 9 hours to drive it. And yet 7 of the 17 congressional districts reach into Chicago, and 9 of the 17 have a portion of Cook County, one county, a single county. Everything was gerrymandered to political advantages. This whole thing is such a lie. And then he goes on, we compromise and we work across the aisle on issues that voters care about. No, you don't. You doubled the gas tax. Yeah, you worked across the aisle. Unfortunately, you had 20 surrender Republicans vote to double our gas tax. Oh, okay, great. We're going to talk more about that in the next segment. We want to believe that surely the GOP can come together with us and agree on common sense things that will make life easier and better for most Americans. No, there's no agreement. Illinois is going the opposite direction of all of our surrounding states. You know, we have the second highest property taxes. Indiana's 1% property tax cap on residential rates. You wanted a progressive income tax up to 8%. Iowa just got rid of the progressive income tax, and their flat tax will be lower than Illinois. Okay. Look, he says, I'm an optimistic guy, as you know, and I don't want. Yeah, you can afford to be optimistic. You're a $3 billionaire. I guess so, but the rest of the people aren't, because the energy policies that you and your ilk have pursued, it now has Central and Southern Illinois under the threat of rolling blackouts and increasing prices. I mean, this guy he's just a joke, total joke. And then he goes on to, mention various cities. Like, you have to love, we have a new rule. If you want to rule this state, you have to love every part of it. You have to love the streets and neighborhoods of Springfield, a city from which Abraham Lincoln launched his political career. Oh, good grief. You have to love Morton, the pumpkin capital of the world, and Decatur, the epicenter of some of the most bountiful land on earth. Bountiful land? The only thing that you know about bountiful land on earth is when you're at the food table and the smorgasbord, you can have anything, you eat anything you want. Bountiful land? Hey, I'll take Darren Bailey, a farmer who farms 12,000 acres and owns 2 other businesses and started his own Christian school. I'll take him instead of you, because you have no idea about what you're talking about. If you've been by these, it's been in your plane or it's been with somebody who's been driving you. You don't drive yourself. You don't fill up your own gas tank. You have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, you have a love of Macoupin County. Really? Okay, all right. Just don't buy it. And then he called out to Darren Bailey, and yes, you have to love Chicago. Of course, he's making this remark because Darren on the campaign trail, like a lot of candidates do, hey, they say what's on their mind, and he called Chicago a hellhole. Well, I don't know how else you explain it, honestly. Used to be the most beautiful city in Chicago. Now, not safe at all. New report coming out from WirePoints today. New report. New 2021 Chicago data shows 400,000 high-priority incidents where dispatchers had no police available to send. No police available. None. So a high-priority call is a call that where there's impending danger. That's a high-priority call. They include priority 1 incidents, which represent an imminent. So priority 1 and priority 2 are high priority calls. Priority 1 incidents represent an imminent threat to life, bodily injury, or major property damage or loss. Priority 2 incidents include when timely police action has the potential to affect the outcome of an incident. Well, here's the report. There was no Chicago police available when 400,000 high priority calls for service went out in 2021. That's 52% of the calls that came in 2021. There was no police available. Hey, officer, there's somebody breaking into my house. No police available. Hey, officer, there's a couple getting mugged on the sidewalk right here. No police available. Hey, officer, I just heard shots fired down the street. No police available. 52% of the time. I don't know, but Darren Bailey may be right. It's a little bit of a hellhole there. And you created it, Governor Pritzker. You own it. There's so much more I could talk about this. I'll tackle more of it, as time goes on. I'm closing in on another meeting here, so I'm gonna end this part of the podcast. Anyway, more to come. Next up, we have Anastasia, a mother from Barrington 220, and she's here to talk about the teacher who assigned the book Gender Queer to an 11-year-old for summer reading. Hey, honey, what are you doing out there in the hammock? I'm doing my summer reading, Mom. Good grief. All right, stay tuned for that segment coming up.
June 3rd, my child's 6th grade English teacher sends out a summer reading material, including Gender Queer. Okay? Hopefully everybody can see this, yeah? 11, 12 years old. Hopefully you like this, yeah? You guys over there, because you guys make the decisions over there. Okay, 11-year-old.
Disgusting.
All right? Now, from this book, Brother Talking to Sister. So you never tasted yourself? Sister shows brother. Vagina slime. Then there's words blowjob. This is exactly what I would expect a pedophile to behave when approaching a child. To normalize sexual behavior, to abuse them. And this is how I see you. Stop sexualizing our kids. Stop abusing them.
Okay, so there you heard a mother in Barrington School District 220, who I believe her 11-year-old was sent home a summer reading list that included the book called Gender Queer. And she's obviously approached her school board. Now, a couple problems here outside of the issue that we're going to discuss. But I think she got a total of 1 minute to address her school board. I mean, this is ridiculous. These people think that they're better than you. They think they don't have to listen to you. They don't have to respond to you. They don't care what you think. They get elected because the teacher unions get them elected, let's be clear. And then they sit up there and they listen to superintendents who have gone through the entire education system and come out at the other end as cowards. It doesn't matter how they went in, your superintendents are in charge and they're cowards. And they convince the school board members to go along to get along with every stupid idea that comes from the Illinois State Board of Education, that comes from some whacked out parent, that comes from woke teachers. This is how these school systems are run. I know. I've sat through these meetings with these people, meetings that the public is not invited to. They don't care about anything but their job. Because if they did, they would be focused on real education. It's disgusting what's going on in schools in Illinois and elsewhere, by the way, today, but especially Illinois. Well, on the line with me is Anastasia. Anastasia is a resident of Barrington. She is a parent in the Barrington 220 school district, and she was at the meeting. Thank you so much for coming on The Real Story with Jeanne Ives. Thank you, Anastasia, for taking time out of your busy afternoon to drop in via phone. So welcome to the program.
Thanks, Jeanne. I appreciate it. Appreciate your support. You definitely hit it on the head there. That's a really good summary of what's been going on here. And obviously our school board is aware of how we feel, and we are a very large parent group, active parents who've been fighting not just this, but prior to that, obviously everything that's happened the past 2.5 years. So lots of vocal parents, and obviously the best thing that happened throughout this entire time has been the sharing of information, as you know. Mm-hmm. And this particular story came about because we did have students in the 6th grade who received a recommended summer reading list from their 6th grade teacher, and one of the books on there was utilized in the school board meeting with its graphics and its sexual content. And as we've said in the past, a lot of these books would be rated X if they were on the movie rating scale, right? They wouldn't even be R. And they're children. I mean, you've got kids who are possibly 11 years old going to be exposed to something like this just because they label it as an award-winning book. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting, and they're grooming our children.
They're 100% grooming our children, and what's worse is that any dismissal by the the elitist class. I don't even want to talk to them. The actually. Those who think they're educated, uneducated class is really how we should describe them, because they may have all the fancy degrees, but they know nothing. They know nothing. And but those people who want to say, well, it's better that they hear about this stuff through a proper format or through the direction of a teacher. Garbage. That is wrong.
That's correct.
Because if you hear from it. If a teacher recommends a book like that, a teacher who is supposed to be somebody who's respected and appreciated and learned and somebody who I need to learn from, and then they present material like this, well, then I guess that material is okay. I mean, that is the problem here. What the hell is going on?
Yeah. Well, and we saw that, and just to reel in the effects of the last 2.5 years. I mean, we've seen the test scores drop significantly, and obviously they're showing us in comparison to national test scores, which we kind of objected and said, well, why don't we show what we have, how bad we've decreased according to previous years within our school district, right? Don't try to, fluff it up with nonsense. We already know, we work hard as parents to live in a community and pay taxes so that they get the best education. But
you pay a lot in property taxes in Barrington. It is a pricey community. You pay a lot.
It is.
I mean, did anybody talk about, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people now, fortunately, and I think through the efforts of my organization, Breakthrough Ideas, and I think through the efforts of others, but honestly, I've been on the forefront of this for years, and I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying that that knowing where to find proper information is really important. So I have actually done some videos on where do you find information about your school district. Well, you go to the Illinois State Board of Education, you go to their Illinois report card, and it's right there. And if you look at Barrington 220, less than half of the kids read or do math at grade level. Less than half of the kids, and instead we're going to put genderqueer in front of them.
Right, priorities, and we obviously were very vocal about how Zoom learning affected them and how poor it was, and not through any fault of the teacher or the district. It's just normal. My children could not Zoom learn, so I had a kindergartner who didn't go in person until full-time, till practically the 2nd grade. So that was horrifying. I had to teach him math and reading, which I was happy to do. So he did well. My daughter, on the other hand, she was in 3rd grade. It was not good for her. She could not sit there for 4 hours or 3 hours and learn math on Zoom, right, with 28
Right.
other kids. It was awful. So they're putting
Well, and the teachers phoned
indoctrination.
it in. They phoned it in. They absolutely phoned it in during that. Okay, back to this book though. I
They
mean, this
did.
made national news. This made national
It
news. I
did.
pulled up the Louder with Crowder website when I Googled it because I was just looking quickly, and I mean, it was all over though. A lot of people covered this. They're appalled. And we can't show it enough. We need to show and illustrate every single example, and it's really important that this was caught by the national media as well, because Barrington parents need to know what's going on. People right next door to Barrington, Palatine parents. I mean, I don't care where you live. The fact that this is happening at all in the state of Illinois, anywhere, and it's not just some far left sort of, I don't know, East Coast or West Coast school system. It's happening right here in your backyard. Don't think that this book is not in other schools. It is in other schools. It's in Wheaton.
People need to. It is, and I've actually said that, through the past 2 years of this, I've made a lot of friends and contacts in neighboring suburbs. So we've done our research. It's in Barrington, which is one of the largest, if not the largest,
That's
high
Palatine.
school districts in the state. All the high schools, right? And 214, obviously District 99 in Downers Grove. They were in the news, I believe, in November for the same thing. And their unanimous decision to keep this book, Gender Queer, on the library shelves and available to their students, unanimous, is sick.
Okay, so so the update on the Louder for Crowder website says that the school district issued a statement claiming the book is not part of our Barrington 220 curriculum. They also said the book is intended for high school students and is award winning. So how is it ends up on a summer reading list for a sixth grader? And what has happened in the wake of this? Has anybody been fired over this?
That's correct. That's a great point. We received, parents of 220 received an email correspondence from our superintendent stating the same thing. And the point here is a lot of that is not even true, because teachers have the autonomy to send out these supplemental educational reading materials and worksheets, as you know. I personally have FOIA'd curriculums and asked for things in the past 2 years, and I told them at a school board meeting that is how they're hiding behind things, is they're saying it's not in the official curriculum. Well, the official curriculum can be this, right? And they can put anything else in there that they'd like, and that's exactly what they're doing. And they're dripping it in, and now they're more than dripping it in. I mean, it's full force indoctrination in every single way. And you're right, a lot of parents do not know about it, but that's why we posted this on Facebook.
Okay.
And as you said, we posted the graphic images, the pages from the book, and Facebook took down the posts. That's how graphic they are.
Oh, so you guys you're putting porn on your website, or you're putting porn on your Facebook, and too much for Facebook to have it out there, but it's just fine for an 11-year-old to read during the summer. You
got it.
Relaxing in the backyard of the hammock.
Yes. And once they see it, they can't unsee it.
What you doing there, so-and-so? Oh, I'm just doing my summer reading, Mom. Oh. God.
You'd be surprised. Like, we actually had a father comment on the post when we initially put it up saying, ha, 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 well, I'd be happy if my kids even stepped foot into a library. I don't care what they read. That was an actual post.
Yeah, well, there's idiots everywhere. There's idiots everywhere, but there's good people everywhere, and we appreciate you standing up to it. One last question here: has anybody in the administration apologized? Anybody apologized?
No. Not a single apology. They continue to direct us to the book review process, which I'm sure you're familiar with. It's pretty consistent throughout the districts, where you submit a request to have a book reviewed if you want it, put in a different area.
I mean, I don't know the mother. I would love to get a hold of her. I would hope that she would actually consider a lawsuit pressing a criminal charge for sexual grooming of a minor child. That is what this is. Oh, you are? Good.
Yes.
Great.
We are looking at every possible avenue, And that's what we need to do. We've been advised that this book review process is just basically keeping us on the hamster wheel, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
So we're not looking to do that. It's not our job to review, thousands of books or hundreds of books in a library at school. School's a neutral zone. It shouldn't happen there. And it's their job to not allow them in to begin with. So the onus is on them, and we're putting it back on them.
Well,
it's not our
on
job.
top of it, they can't have it both ways. They can't say that we have this book review process and then back off and say, well, teachers have the liberty to assign it's not in our curriculum, but teachers have the liberty to assign particular worksheets or information to be read. They can't have it both ways, because if it's that, either the school district's getting sued for grooming a child, or the teacher's getting sued because she colored outside the lines here, way outside the lines. It's one or the other.
Exactly.
They can't have it both ways.
Right. And either way, they're responsible,
Absolutely.
right? I mean,
either way, it doesn't matter. They're responsible, however you look at it. They're responsible. So, oh my gosh, thank you for fighting the fight. I know it's not easy to sit through those disgusting school board member meetings where the school board blank face stares you down like you're some sort of pariah, when all you want is a decent education for your kid and not indoctrination and certainly not sexual grooming. I mean, but the response from these school boards, not a friendly smile among them. They're just, we got to take back our school boards. I thank you so much for being involved, Anastasia.
Thank you. Of course, we've got to keep fighting. So if anything, hopefully it gets more parents to stand up.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you for your time today, and we appreciate it. We'll follow up with you later on how your lawsuit progresses or whatever else you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Welcome back to The Real Story with Jeanne Ives. And ahead of the July 4th weekend, I am filming this on June 30th, by the way. Well, ahead of this upcoming weekend, I know a lot of you folks are thinking about driving and going elsewhere. Well, first of all, I just came back from Houston, Texas. And on the way back, I think I have a series of graphics that we're going to put up and show you. And if I remember correctly, I paid $4.35 a gallon when I filled up right before we left Houston. Then we stopped and we filled up in Arkansas. I was kind of pleased with that. It was $4.29 a gallon. Boy, it's really amazing when you're happy about $4.29 a gallon. What the hell? Then we went to Missouri, and Missouri has the second lowest gas taxes in the nation. But I still paid $4.49 there, so there's something going on with the underlying fuel price. And then, of course, just before we were getting back, we had 3 hours left to go. I decided to fill up. And in the central Illinois, I paid $4.99 a gallon. $4.99. That morning, actually the night before we left, I filled up in Houston, $4.35 a gallon. Go back, fill up in Illinois, $5.99 a gallon. Come on. Well, guess what? You got to look forward to tomorrow. So tomorrow, July 1st, they passed that gas tax in 2019. The gas tax increase, first of all, double our gas tax from 19 cents a gallon to 38 cents a gallon. And then it ratcheted in an inflation corrector too. So every year, based off of inflation, the gas tax that is collected in the state of Illinois ratchets up. In this case, for July 1st, tomorrow, it's supposed to go up 2 cents. But because the Democrats are so generous in the Illinois General Assembly, they decide to suspend that 2 cent increase to save you money at the pump. We're going to suspend that 2 cent increase. Okay, and in doing so, when they did this, they also said, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to make sure that people know how generous we are. So we're going to make sure that that people have to, the retailers who sell gas have to put a sticker on their pump telling you that the gas tax, the 2 cent gas tax, is suspended for 6 months. So it'll pick up again in December, and then guess what happens the next July? You'll get another gas tax increase. So you got a 6-month reprieve on 2 cents a gallon, essentially. I mean, total joke. These people are, it's not funny. It's pathetic is what it is. Okay, now, so the retailers didn't like this. They're like, this is forced political speech. You're forcing me to put out a political statement on my gas pumps, and I don't like it. So they sued over it. And unfortunately, their lawsuit got dismissed. Yep. A reading in, mystateline.com. Lawsuit dismissed after Illinois suspends gas tax. A federal judge dismissed a lawsuit over a gas pump sticker requirement in Illinois. Gas stations across the state will be required to display signs on their pumps on Friday sharing that the state's 2-cent motor fuel tax increase has been suspended. The Illinois Fuel and Retail Association filed a lawsuit. CEO Josh Sharp said that he felt the sticker requirement was political, claiming it was just an attempt by state leaders to show that they are doing something about high gas prices. Well, interestingly, to get back at them, while this lawsuit was winding its way, oh, by the way, it's a $500 a day fine if a gas station does not comply and doesn't put this political sticker on their gas pumps. A $500 fine. But, you know, these retailers, I give them credit. They're pretty smart, because to get back at them, they came up with their own sticker. And I think we have a copy of it on our screen, but I'll read it to you for people who are listening. So they put up the sticker, and it's this big blue sticker, big state capital off to one side. Headline: Illinois politicians have more than doubled the gas tax since 2019. And then an arrow, and then it gives you a little more information. Illinois now has the highest gas taxes in the Midwest and the second highest in the nation. This year, lawmakers decided to delay their gas tax hike until after the election. So they're actually just telling them this is an election gimmick. And they're forcing us to tell you about it with this sign or pay a $500 a day fine. And so then they point an arrow to the actual language that the legislator said that they wanted to have them forced to put on their pumps. And you'll see these. You'll see these now. Watch from and then laugh. It says, and the sign says, as of July 1st, 2022, the state of Illinois has suspended the inflation adjustment to the motor fuel tax through December 31st, 2022. The price on this pump should reflect the suspension of the tax increase. Just a joke. Just a joke. So I hope the retailers comply with the law, but at the same time inform the public of exactly how they're getting screwed by these legislators. Anyway, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. This is The Real Story with Jeanne Ives.